And hello, YouTube, and welcome back to another episode of the Zone TV Movie Entertainment with me, your host, Jonathan. Once again, bringing you my thoughts and review from Monday night's episode of DC's The Legends of Tomorrow, Season 3, Episode 14. Now, in this episode, they actually the Legends get to meet Elvis Presley. You know, before he became, I guess, Elvis Presley, the biggest rock and roll star of his time. Still the king, obviously the king. So in this episode, like I said, they have to go figure out what's going on with Elvis because certain things have started to change. That was basically influence of, Elvis Presley. So they go back into the time and try to figure out what's going on. They get there, they meet Elvis Presley. He's young, he's just starting out to his rock and roll. Unfortunately, he has an uncle who's, I think, either a minister or a priest. I can't tell which is which. No offense, sorry. But so anyway, his uncle is like preaching, saying that rock and roll is the devil's music, and he doesn't want him to pursue that career. So have him more play gospel music, and I think he did play gospel music. But anyway, so that actually affects the timeline where his music, if he doesn't play rock and roll, then some of the greatest musics of all time would never be born. So you have Nate go back, Mira, I forget her name. Anyway, she goes back in time as well. And of course, while that's all happening, and of course Wally West also goes back. He finally gets to go into the field with the team, so that was kind of cool to see him do that. So they go back in time. They go back and try to, basically help Elvis get on the path of him playing his rock and roll music because it becomes, music's generation and, of course, a big influence. And not only just rock and roll music, but just music in general. So then they figure out that Elvis has a special guitar, which ends up being one of the totems. They decide that they got to make sure that this totem doesn't get into the wrong hands. And don't worry, there is no Malcolm Earl in this episode, Damien Dark and his daughter. They're not in this episode, which is weird. But yeah, and while that's all happened, you have Mick and Ray in the Wave Rider with Sarah, and something has happened to one of the members of their team, kind of. Mick's pet rat or Ray's pet rat kind of died. Because apparently they found like a poison that killed him. Or it was Elvis's peanut butter sandwich, apparently. I didn't know that was a real thing. I thought that was just made up for his movies or whatever. But I guess he did eat that, so that's cool. So yeah, he I guess he takes a bite out of the sandwich and he dies. So then they have a memorial service for that, for the rat, obviously. Because, they've been through a lot with that rat. If you remember in the previous episodes. But anyway, back to the episode itself. Then you have, Elvis's uncle, like I said, trying to persuade Elvis not to be using that music. And then, of course, whenever he does play his guitar, he does bring back the dead. Which, basically, the totem is the death totem. And then, they get to a point where, like, living ghosts come back. And also Elvis's brother, which I didn't even know about, if it's true, comes back as well. And then they got to figure out how to stop it. And, of course, Elvis does. And then, of course, he relinquishes the guitar to the team. And, of course, they take out the totem itself, put it into a safe, like, box kind of thing that Ray created. It was a good episode. It wasn't great, but it wasn't, horrible either. It was a good episode. It was a decent episode. I did like the fact that get to see Elvis. That was kind of cool. So, that was a cool moment with that. And then, of course, the one thing I didn't like about the ghosts, they were okay. Their CG was okay, but then you can still tell that the CG and the budget was so low for this. It's like, but what can you do? This is supposed to be a really big, expensive kind of show, but you know what? They try. But, yeah, it was like a really quick episode because, they had a little minor problem that they had to fix. They fixed it. Had another minor problem, and they fixed that, but then there was no actual big confrontation between them and the Darks, Because normally when they try to save a certain time period. Damien Dark shows up, messes it up even more. They get into a big fight, and then they end up solving at the end of it. But it was nothing too dramatic about this episode about that. But what can you do? So there you go. There's my thoughts on it. So leave me a comment below. Let me know what you guys thought about the episode. If you've seen it, and stay tuned for more. And stay tuned because I will be doing my Tomb Raider review either tonight or tomorrow. I'm about to go see it tonight. Can't wait. So stay tuned for that. Leave me a comment below. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Click the bell for notifications. And thank you very much and have a good day.